AM Live with Xolani Gwala.
It is 7.5 after 7. Thank you very much, Rob. We welcome you once again then to the second hour of AM Live, and we pick up our coverage this hour then by looking again at the developing story following the suspension of Julius Malema yesterday by the ANC. A statement that was issued by the ANC late yesterday evening suggesting that Malema should know that no party member is bigger than the organization's constitution. The ANC reacting, of course, to the suspension of Mr. Julius Malema. Let's get things into perspective then. On the line at this time, we are joined by the chairperson of the ANC's National Disciplinary Committee, Mr. Derek Hanekom. A very good morning to you, sir. Thank you for your time.
Morning, Xolani, and thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks indeed. Well, take us back at the beginning of this episode then. Who complained and what was the nature of the complaint?
Well, normally in normal disciplinary proceedings, there would be an initiator. This is an unusual one, where in fact there was no complaint. The Constitution of the ANC empowers the National Disciplinary Committee to take immediate action in the event of something that is of an exceptional nature or where there are exceptional circumstances. So, and in this case, we decided, the Disciplinary Committee, that the circumstances and the situation arising from his utterances warranted an immediate suspension. The Constitution of the ANC allows the National Disciplinary Committee to institute an immediate temporary suspension. The normal processes of formulating charges and proceeding with charges then proceed. But in very serious cases, the NDC is empowered by our Constitution to proceed with this so-called temporary suspension.
A lot has happened in between then, and one of the suggestions this morning is that the lawyers for Mr. Julius Malema have written to your committee. They are asking you to withdraw the suspension. They are arguing that the conditions attached to the suspension go beyond the powers of the NDC. Your response, please.
Well, I haven't seen the letter, for a start. The NDC is the body that stipulates the conditions of suspension. No other body would stipulate that. But the charged member, in this case Mr. Malema, would have the opportunity to put in an application to the National Disciplinary Committee of Appeals if he feels it's unwarranted, and they may set it aside, but no other body of the ANC has the constitutional power to set it aside. So I'm not sure which terms and conditions they would consider to be unreasonable. What the situation is that given the seriousness of the utterance made on the 30th of March, we imposed this temporary suspension. And he's not been found guilty of any violation of the ANC Constitution. That would be pending a hearing that he will be given. But in the meanwhile, his membership he has forfeited his right as a member of the ANC, and we stipulated the terms and conditions. We've effectively temporarily suspended his membership.
All right. But procedurally, does the Constitution allow the suspended member to make the kind of representation that gives your committee a deadline? Because apparently the deadline is at 2 p.m. today that you've got to have suspended or withdrawn the suspension.
Well, no, it doesn't make any provision for a demand on the ANC or on the NDC to withdraw the suspension. It seems like this is something that is being presented by the lawyers, and I haven't seen it. So it could be that they're contemplating taking the matter to court. I have no idea whatsoever, but we are satisfied that we've acted in accordance with the ANC's constitution. The constitution provides that is that the affected member may submit an application to the NDCA to set the suspension aside, and that's all it says.
Let's talk also just a little bit about the conditions that are touched, because, as you say, he effectively is not a member of the ANC at this time. But yet there are reports again that the Youth League will be convening an emergency meeting of its National Executive Committee, and they may invite him to come and address them. In the event that happens, what are the likely effects? Will those that invite him also...
I can't comment on the likelihood of him breaching the conditions, but the conditions that have been imposed on Julius Malema and that will be applicable for the period, the temporary period of suspension, is that he may not exercise any duty in his capacity as an ANC, as the president of the ANC Youth League, or a member of the PEC of the ANC Limpopo province. Furthermore, we also say that he may not attend any meeting of the ANC or any of its structures, including the leagues.
Okay, but sorry to interrupt you there, Mr. Arnacon, because the issue is that it's not just him that may, ignore the conditions here, but it's also the people that invite him. What happens to the people that invite him then?
Well, we'll have to cross that bridge when we come to it. At the moment, we would certainly urge all structures of the ANC to respect the ruling of the National Disciplinary Committee. The fact that a member, in this case, if Julius Malema is invited by any structure, he's under no obligation to go to that particular meeting because he knows what the terms and conditions are of his suspension.
Okay. All right, Mr. Arnacon, I really have got to thank you very much. My apologies. The line not very clear, but I hope you got the gist of what happens in as far as these matters are concerned. It's 7:13. Let's get some analysis on what's going on here now. Obri Majigri, a research fellow at the Helen Suzman Foundation, is on the line for us. A very good morning to you, Mr. Majigri.
Good morning, Perpetua. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a developing story. A whole lot of permutations here. What if he goes to the ANC Youth League special meeting? Who is responsible then?
Well, remember, Perpetua, as you indirectly pointed out, the Youth League has argued that regardless of what is decided by the ANC, Julius Malema will continue in his capacity as Youth League president. Now, if they were to proceed not only to have an emergency meeting, but to allow him to address them, the question is, what would the ANC do, or how would they respond to another act of defiance? Because remember, his suspension contributes to a further escalation of tensions between the Youth League and its mother body. And in addition, what it does is that the leadership of the ANC has called the Youth League's bluff. On the other hand, the leadership of the Youth League may decide to call the ANC's bluff.
Ultimately, what is the issue at hand here? It appears as if it's getting tense.
Well, as I say, what you are seeing is a further escalation of tensions between the Youth League and the mother body. But the decision to suspend Malema suggests that his appeal is unlikely to succeed. But the fact that Mr. Malema himself has continued to attack the person and the office of the president of the ANC suggests that he and the Youth League have lost confidence completely in ANC disciplinary processes. So I think Mr. Malema himself does not think his appeal will succeed.
That attack, though, in your view, was it unprecedented?
Well, in my short life, I've never heard a member of the ANC attack the president of the ANC in that manner. It was therefore not surprising that on Monday, the top six displayed this show of unity. Whether the suspension of Julius Malema is going to test that unity at the top or not is another question altogether. The question is whether, with this suspension, with the ANC responding to internal pressure to act decisively against the Youth League, is it not going to divide the ANC itself? Another question, of course, is whether the Youth League itself, in response, is not going to divide itself by the manner in which it responds.
All right.
The possibility that going forward, the ANC might be more divided than the Youth League in the short term.
Obri Majigri, he's a political analyst, and thank you very much indeed for your views in as far as these matters are concerned. But who is Julius Malema? From student politics to leading the most powerful youth formation in the country, Julius Malema has had a spectacular rise and an equally dramatic downward spiral. Known for his uncompromising brand of militant politics, Malema is a treasure trove of sound bites and quotes for the media. Senior political journalist Thulasizwe Simelane looks back at Malema's turbulent political career.
Fighting spirit of Grisani, long live. Long live the fighting spirit of O.R. Tambo, long live. Long live the fighting
Loved and loathed by many, arguably in equal measure, Julius Malema has been an omnipresent feature of South African politics since his days as the leader of the Congress of South African Students in 2001-2002. Many would have first noticed Malema in 2002 when he led learners on a march through the Johannesburg city centre, leaving a trail of chaos and looting along the way. But it wasn't until April 2008 that Malema cemented his role in national politics when he was elected amid much controversy to lead the ANC Youth League. With that, South Africans were introduced to a unique style of aggressive and militant politics. In his first few months in office, Malema positioned himself firmly behind ANC President Jacob Zuma and set his sights on the then state president Thabo Mbeki.
Is going. Doesn't matter who says what. Mbeki will not be a president of this country when we go to elections.
When the ANC recalled Mbeki just a few days after this statement, Malema was viewed as one of the most influential politicians in the country, with many crediting him for the former state president's demise. In 2009, then Education Minister Naledi Pandor was on the receiving end of Malema's wrath over a crisis that was playing out at the Tshwane University of Technology.
Minister use that fake accent to address our problems and not to behave like a spoiled minister.
A song of resistance, how can it have Ubuntu? A resistance song. You want it to be a love song.
Never one to back down from a confrontation, Malema soon found himself fighting political battles on many fronts, in the courts with minority rights groups, taking on alliance partners, tackling various cabinet ministers, and even the president he once vowed to die for, President Jacob Zuma.
It is under President Zuma that we have seen the youth of the ANC being traumatized, the youth of the ANC being expelled from their own home. We have seen under President Zuma democracy being replaced with dictatorship.
2010 seemed to mark a turn in Malema's political fortunes. The Equality Court convicted him of hate speech relating to comments he made about a woman who once accused President Zuma of rape. His statement of support for Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe's ZANU-PF party landed him in hot water with the ANC. Upon his return from Zimbabwe, Malema addressed a media briefing in Johannesburg, which will always be remembered for his rant against a BBC journalist more than its content.
Let me tell you, before you are chacharach, let me tell you, this is a building of a revolutionary party, and you know nothing about the revolution. So here you behave or else you jump. Here you don't laugh. Chief, can you get security to remove this thing here? This is not a newsroom, this is a revolutionary house. And you don't come here with that tendency. Don't come here with that white tendency. Not here. You can do it somewhere else. Not here.
The ANC slapped him with charges of bringing the party into disrepute, to which he entered into a plea bargain and received a suspended sentence of 2 years. An impressive orator, Malema has the ability to stir and work a crowd. Most of his speeches are delivered without any speaking notes. Revolutionary and struggle language, as well as recounting history, are some of his favorite themes. A treasure trove of sound bites for journalists.
We have outlined a mission for ourselves. And if you are going to retreat because there is an attack, you must know you are selling out your own mission. We cannot be defined as Boom Shaka generation. We cannot be defined as Sahara generation. We cannot. We are not Professor generation. We are a generation of economic freedom fighters. And that's how we define ourselves. No mercy suspenders, dancing soldiers, dancing bombers.
And it appears he intends to remain in combative mode as the ANC's disciplinary machinery works its way towards spewing him out of the party.
Our souls, the positions of the Youth League will remain. We've put an idea out there. Whether they imprison us, whether they expel us, the idea is out there. Let the people debate what should be happening. Even when we go to look after cattle in Limpopo, we'll continue to believe in this cause.
Suspended ANC Youth League President Julius Malema, ending that report by our senior political journalist Thulasizwe Simelane.